Test 2 is going to consist of information from chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, if you recall back in chapter 1, we covered the 6 classes of nutrients, and I had mentioned that later on in the semester, each of these were going to have their own chapter. This is where we start to get into this. So for chapters 4, 5, and 6, those are going to be solely dedicated to carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. So chapter 4 is going to be carbohydrates, chapter 5 is going to be lipids, chapter 6 is going to be proteins. And those are going to follow a similar format in the type of information that's covered and what you're going to be responsible for. But they're going to discuss, first of all, we're going to discuss the structure of the molecules, how they're composed, why that relates to their function. So we're going to learn a little bit about the chemistry of them and what they're composed of, what their building blocks are, and then we're going to discuss their roles, their functions. Why are they important? What roles do they play in our bodies? Why do we need them? And we'll talk about our dietary recommendations for each of them, and then we'll also talk about what happens if we don't have enough? What happens if we have too much? So what are some health concerns that are tied in with these nutrients? So we're going to have, and the other big thing too, very important, we'll talk about the food sources. So how are we going to get these? How are we going to meet the recommendations for them in our diets? So chapter 4, we're going to focus on carbs. So chapter 4 will be all about carbohydrates, and you're going to have a set of essay questions, and you're going to have a chapter discussion post about that for chapter 4. For chapter 5, we're going to look at lipids, and there will be an essay question assignment, so 4 essay questions assignment, and also a discussion post for that. For chapter 5, we're going to look at proteins, and then we will have a set of essay questions and a discussion post that's going to be due for that one. So chapter 4 carbs, chapter 5 lipids, chapter 6 proteins. And each of those will have a set of essay questions and a discussion posts due. Now for chapter 7, we shift gears just a little bit, and we're looking at energy balance in chapter 7. So we're looking at how one balances their energy intake with their output, and what it means if you're taking in more than you're burning, or if you're burning more than you're taking in. How does this correlate in with weight loss, with weight management, with weight gain? So how do these all tie in together? So that's what we're going to look at in chapter 7. And for chapter 7, there's going to be a quiz. And again, since chapter 7 is the chapter that is right before a test, it's not going to have a discussion post with it. You're going to have what we're calling a unit discussion post. So you'll have a test after you complete chapter 7, and that test is going to cover chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7. Multiple choice, timed. It's going to be set up just like your previous test. And so what I hope is once you start get going, each of your chapters are going to be set up like the previous chapter, and each of your units are going to kind of be set up like the other units. So what I hope is, as you get going, you really kind of get into a pattern of knowing what's around the corner and knowing what to expect. So that's what we're going to be looking at for test 2. We're going to cover chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7, and that's going to be our carbohydrates, our lipids, our proteins, and energy balance. Essay questions due for chapters 4, 5, and 6, also discussion posts due for them, quiz for chapter 7, and then you'll have a test and you'll have a unit discussion post. So again, any questions about that once you get into it? If anything's sounding tricky, if something is not quite making sense, something's not clear, let me know, and we'll discuss it further. And if there's anything that I need to maybe project to the entire class, if there's something that you guys are not quite getting, I can make a video for that, and we can discuss it even further. So any questions at all, just let me know. That's why I'm here, and best of luck as you go through these chapters.